The streets of Dakar buzzed with life even as the night deepened. The scent of freshly grilled fish and roasted peanuts lingered in the air, blending with the salt from the nearby sea. Zahra pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders, her heart pounding as she glanced behind her. She wasn't imagining it. Someone was following her. The feeling had settled into her bones minutes ago, prickling her skin like an unspoken warning. She walked faster, her heels clicking against the pavement, weaving through the scattered pedestrians still lingering outside shops and cafes. Calm down, Zahra. Maybe it's nothing. But deep inside, she knew better. She had uncovered something dangerous. As a journalist, she had spent years exposing corruption and crime, but this time, she had gone too far. Her latest investigation had led her into the shadows of Dakar's underworld, a world ruled by ruthless men, where names were whispered in fear. And there was one name that stood above the rest. Kamari. The mere mention of him sent chills through the city. He was a ghost, a phantom, a man whose face few had seen and lived to describe. He was not just a criminal, he was a legend of fear. The enforcer of an empire built on power, money, and blood. Zahra clenched her jaw and turned a corner sharply. The small alley she stepped into was dimly lit, the street lamps flickering. She knew this part of the city well, knew how to lose a tail. But as soon as she stepped forward, a firm hand grabbed her from behind. A scream barely left her lips before a strong arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her against a broad, muscular chest. A deep voice whispered against her ear, "Don't scream, Zahra." Her entire body went rigid. He knows my name. Fear struck her like lightning, but her instincts kicked in. She fought, kicking, twisting, using every ounce of strength she had. But it was like fighting against a mountain. Her attacker was strong, impossibly strong, his grip unyielding. Fiery, the voice murmured with amusement. Then, everything blurred. The world tilted as she was lifted off her feet. She barely registered the sleek black SUV parked at the curb before she was shoved inside. The door slammed shut. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she turned, heart hammering. And that's when she saw him. Her captor. The sight of him stole the air from her lungs. He was devastatingly handsome. Tall and broad-shouldered, his dark brown skin gleamed under the faint glow of the car's interior lights. His sharp jawline, high cheekbones, and full lips gave him an almost regal beauty. But it was his eyes, deep, piercing, and cold as obsidian, that made her shiver. Kamari. She knew, without a doubt, that this was him. He watched her with a mixture of amusement and curiosity, as if she were an animal caught in a trap. "I see you recognize me." His voice was rich, smooth like silk, but laced with something dangerous. Zahra forced herself to breathe. "You're Kamari." A slow smirk tugged at his lips. "And you, little journalist, have been digging where you shouldn't." Her throat went dry. She had been investigating his operations, exposing his network, and now, she was at his mercy. Zahra squared her shoulders. "If you're going to kill me, just get it over with." Kamari chuckled, a low, rumbling sound that sent a shiver down her spine. "Who said anything about killing you?" The car began moving, gliding smoothly through the city. Zahra's hands clenched into fists. "Think, Zahra. You have to get out of this." She turned sharply toward the door, her fingers gripping the handle, but before she could even attempt to jump, Kamari's hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. His touch was like fire. "Don't." His voice was quiet but firm, and his fingers tightened just enough to send a warning. "The only way you're leaving this car is if I allow it." Zahra's heart pounded. "And what do you want with me?" Kamari leaned back, his gaze sweeping over her. "That's a good question." He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled out a sleek knife from his jacket and twirled it effortlessly between his fingers. The sight of it made Zahra's stomach twist, but he didn't make a move toward her. The tension in the car was suffocating. Minutes passed, the city lights blurring outside the tinted windows. Zahra swallowed hard. I don't know what you think I found, but You found enough. Kamari cut her off. And now, you're mine. Her pulse thundered. Mine? Before she could demand an explanation, the car slowed. She turned, catching a glimpse of high gates opening before they drove into what looked like a private compound. The walls were tall, lined with security cameras. Zahra's stomach dropped. She wasn't just being taken somewhere. She was disappearing. The car stopped, and within seconds, the door swung open. A tall, burly man with a gun strapped to his hip gestured for her to step out. Zahra hesitated. Kamari's voice came from behind her. Don't make this difficult. With no other choice, she stepped out. The compound was breathtaking. Traditional African architecture blended seamlessly with modern luxury. Stone pathways led through lush gardens, and the grand mansion loomed ahead, its walls adorned with intricate carvings. But this wasn't a home. It was a fortress. She was led inside, past marble floors and golden chandeliers. Despite its beauty, Zahra felt like a prisoner walking to her cell. A heavy wooden door swung open, revealing a lavish bedroom, so elegant it felt surreal. A four-poster bed draped in silk stood at the center, and the walls were lined with tapestries depicting ancient African warriors. The door shut behind her. And just like that, she was alone. Zahra exhaled shakily, pacing the room. Think, Zahra. There has to be a way out. But then the door creaked open. Kamari stood in the doorway, his gaze unreadable. You should rest, he said. Zahra crossed her arms. I don't take orders from criminals. Kamari chuckled. You will. Then, before she could react, he stepped forward, closer, invading her space. She could smell him, a mixture of sandalwood and something darker, something purely masculine. Her breath hitched. You're not afraid of me. His voice was softer now, almost curious. Zahra met his gaze. Should I be? Kamari smirked, tilting his head. You tell me. And then he was gone, leaving her alone in a room that felt more like a gilded cage. Zahra exhaled sharply, her mind spinning. Kamari was dangerous, ruthless. But something about the way he looked at her. It made her wonder if beneath all that darkness, there was something else. Something she wasn't sure she was ready to uncover. The night stretched long, endless. Zahra sat on the plush bed, staring at the locked door, listening to the silence beyond it. The realization sank deep into her bones, she was truly a prisoner. But she wasn't the type to wait for a savior. She stood, her sharp eyes scanning the room. Every inch of it screamed wealth, from the silk curtains to the marble floors, but luxury didn't change the fact that this was a cage. She tested the windows, locked. She checked the drawers, empty. Her heart pounded with frustration. And then the door swung open. Kamari stepped inside, his towering presence commanding the space. He had changed into a dark linen shirt and tailored pants, making him look even more impossibly handsome. His deep brown skin glowed under the dim light, and his sharp eyes studied her, unreadable. I expected you to be asleep, he said, his voice smooth as honey, but laced with steel. Zahra crossed her arms. I don't sleep well in cages. Kamari smirked, stepping closer. A cage implies you're a prisoner. I see you more as a guest. Zahra scoffed. Guests can leave whenever they want. He chuckled, shaking his head. Not when they've been playing with fire. Her jaw clenched. You kidnapped me because of my investigation. Kamari took another step forward, close enough for her to catch the intoxicating scent of sandalwood and musk. I kidnapped you to keep you safe. She blinked, caught off guard. Safe? From who? His gaze darkened. From people far worse than me. Zahra narrowed her eyes. You expect me to believe that you, Dakar's most feared man, are my protector? Kamari tilted his head, amusement flickering in his expression. Believe what you want. But the people you exposed? They don't like their secrets being uncovered. And trust me, their methods are far more brutal than mine. Her pulse quickened. Was he lying? Or was there truth in his words? She swallowed hard. And what do you want in return for this, protection? Kamari studied her, his gaze dropping briefly to her lips before meeting her eyes again. I haven't decided yet. Zahra's breath hitched. There was something unsettling about the way he looked at her, like a man who took what he wanted, but also like a man who was trying to restrain himself. You're playing a dangerous game, she whispered. Kamari smirked, stepping so close that their bodies almost touched. I always do. A shiver ran down her spine. Before she could say another word, he turned and walked out, locking the door behind him. Zahra sat back on the bed, her mind racing. She should be afraid. But the truth? She wasn't sure if the fear she felt was because of him, or because of the fire burning between them. The days blurred together. Zahra refused to submit to the idea that she was Kamari's prisoner, yet she found herself drawn to him in ways she couldn't explain. At first, she had resisted everything, his presence, his protection, even the luxurious comforts of the grand mansion he kept her in. But Kamari was relentless. He never forced her into anything, never raised a hand against her, but his presence was inescapable. Every morning, he brought her breakfast. Every evening, he came to check on her. And every night, he left her with lingering glances that made her pulse race. She hated that she was beginning to anticipate his visits. One evening, Zahra finally snapped. She had been pacing her room for hours, restless. The door wasn't locked tonight, she had discovered that much earlier. It was a test. Kamari was always testing her, pushing her to see what she would do. This time, she took the bait. Zahra slipped into the dimly lit hallway, heart pounding. The mansion was eerily quiet, the only sound her bare feet against the cold marble floors. She moved swiftly, careful not to make a sound, her pulse racing as she reached the grand staircase leading down to the entrance. She could see the front doors. Freedom was only a few steps away. Going somewhere, Zahra? Her blood ran cold. She turned slowly, her breath catching as she saw Kamari leaning against the wall, arms crossed over his broad chest. He was shirtless, wearing only a pair of dark sweatpants, his powerful frame illuminated by the moonlight filtering through the large windows. Her stomach twisted at how unfairly handsome he was. But she wouldn't let herself be distracted. I thought you said I wasn't a prisoner, she shot back, tilting her chin up defiantly. Kamari pushed off the wall and strolled toward her, slow, predatory. You're not. But that doesn't mean I'll let you walk into danger. She took a step back, but he kept advancing. And you think staying here with you is safer? He smirked. Yes. Zahra's heart hammered in her chest. I don't trust you. Kamari stopped just inches from her, his eyes locking onto hers. You don't have to. There was something in his voice, something raw, something aching. It made her breath hitch. Why are you doing this? She asked softly. Why do you care what happens to me? Kamari exhaled sharply and ran a hand through his short, curly hair. For the first time, he looked conflicted. Because I know what happens to people who cross the wrong men in this city. And I won't let that happen to you. Zahra frowned. But why me? Silence stretched between them. And then Kamari did something unexpected. He reached out and gently traced a fingertip along her jawline. Zahra's breath caught. Because I can't stop thinking about you, he murmured. Because I should let you go, but I don't want to. The air between them crackled with tension. Zahra swallowed hard. She should push him away. She should run. But instead, she stayed frozen, her skin burning where he touched her. Kamari. Her voice was barely above a whisper. His eyes darkened, as if hearing his name on her lips ignited something in him. Tell me to stop, he murmured, his voice husky. And I will. But Zahra said nothing. Because for the first time since he had taken her, she didn't want him to stop. The space between them was charged with something neither of them wanted to name. Zahra knew she should walk away, put distance between them before she lost herself in the storm that was Kamari. But she couldn't move. Not when his fingers were still grazing her jaw, not when his dark eyes were holding her captive. Tell me to stop, he said again, his voice lower this time, rougher, as though it took everything in him to hold back. Zahra's lips parted, but no words came out. She didn't want him to stop. That was the terrifying truth. And Kamari must have seen it in her eyes because the restraint in his expression shattered. With a growl, he closed the space between them, his lips crashing against hers in a kiss that stole the very breath from her lungs. Zahra gasped, her hands instinctively reaching for his chest, but instead of pushing him away, she found herself gripping the firm muscles beneath her fingers. Kamari's arms wrapped around her, pulling her against him like he was afraid she'd slip away. Heat. That was all she could feel, blazing, undeniable heat. Kamari kissed her like a man who had been starving for too long, like he had been waiting for this moment from the very beginning. And maybe he had. Maybe she had, too. When he finally pulled away, they were both breathless. Zahra stared at him, her fingers still curled into his bare chest. This changes nothing, she whispered, though her voice lacked conviction. Kamari smirked, his thumb brushing over her swollen lips. Doesn't it? She swallowed hard. I still don't trust you. His smirk faded, and something serious entered his gaze. Then let me earn it. Zahra blinked. What? Kamari exhaled, stepping back as if putting space between them would clear the air. I want you to trust me, Zahra. Not as the man who kidnapped you, but as the man who... He hesitated, raking a hand through his hair. As the man who wants you. Her heart did a traitorous flip. You're not making sense, she murmured. 1 minute, you're the criminal I should hate, and the next, you. Am the man who can't stop thinking about you. Kamari finished, a wry smile tugging at his lips. Zahra shook her head, trying to fight the warmth blooming in her chest. This is insane. Kamari took a slow step closer, forcing her to look up at him. Maybe it is. But tell me, Zahra, if this is so insane, why didn't you pull away? She opened her mouth, but no answer came. Because he was right. She had every chance to push him away, to resist the attraction pulling them together like a force of nature. But she hadn't. Because deep down, she knew, she didn't want to. You'll never let me go, will you? She whispered. Kamari's expression darkened. I should. His fingers grazed her arm, sending a shiver down her spine. But I don't want to. His words were a confession and a curse all at once. Zahra closed her eyes, inhaling deeply. Then we're both doomed. Kamari let out a low chuckle, his lips brushing her forehead in a touch so soft it made her heart ache. If loving you is doom, then I welcome it. The night felt heavier than before, thick with unsaid words and emotions too complicated to name. Zahra sat by the window, staring at the world beyond the mansion's walls. The city lights blinked in the distance, reminding her that freedom was just outside, yet she hadn't tried to leave. Not after that kiss. Not after the way Kamari had looked at her, not as a prisoner, but as something far more dangerous, someone he wanted to keep. She should have run. She should have fought harder. But instead, she found herself waiting for him. And just like that, as if drawn by some unseen force, the door to her room opened. Kamari stepped inside, his presence filling the space. His dark skin glowed in the moonlight, his bare chest rising and falling with slow, measured breaths. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes burned for her. "You're awake," he murmured. Zahra swallowed hard. "Couldn't sleep." Kamari nodded, stepping closer. "Because of me?" She hesitated before nodding. "Because of you." A ghost of a smile touched his lips, but there was something uncertain in his gaze. "I meant what I said, Zahra. I don't want to hurt you." She searched his face. "Then why take me at all?" His jaw tightened. "Because I had no choice." Zahra exhaled sharply. "We always have a choice, Kamari." Silence stretched between them, thick and heavy. And then, "I'll let you go." Her breath caught. "What?" Kamari clenched his fists at his sides. "I'll let you go, Zahra. If that's what you want." Her heart slammed against her ribs. This was her moment, her chance to walk away, to return to the life she had before. And yet, she didn't move. Kamari took a step back, his gaze flickering with something close to pain. "You're free to leave." Zahra's fingers curled into her lap. "Is that what you want?" Kamari's throat bobbed. "No." She rose to her feet, her pulse racing. "Then why say it?" His hands curled into fists. "Because I love you, Zahra. And if love means letting you go, then I will." Her breath hitched. Love. She had fought against it, denied it, but the truth had been growing inside her all along. She stepped closer, until she could feel his warmth, until there was nothing but air between them. "And if I don't want to leave," she whispered. Kamari's breath faltered. "Then I'll spend the rest of my life proving that I deserve you." Zahra placed a trembling hand on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath her palm. He was dangerous. He was reckless. But he was hers. And just like that, she kissed him. This time, it wasn't a stolen moment. It wasn't desperation. It was a choice. Her choice. And as Kamari wrapped his arms around her, pulling her into him like she was the only thing in the world that mattered, she knew. She had fallen for the man who had once been her captor. But now, he was the one held hostage by love.